We'll turn on the, we are now live and recording, and we'll let everybody in. All right, we'll probably have a few stragglers like usual. If I could be, I would be a straggler too, but this thing won't get started unless I turn it on. So I can't be.
One of the benefits of the host.
Exactly. Very tropical today, my friend.
Yeah. What's that?
You're looking very tropical with that beach theme. You got the, so you got to go into a luau maybe this afternoon, maybe something.
Well, I thought the odds were pretty high that you and I both would be going tropical. I know the Hawaiian shirts, my odds are pretty high on Fridays that you're going to be in a Hawaiian shirt. I'm off by a week, I'm afraid.
I had a little, well, more wardrobe malfunction this morning. You know, my Friday jeans, I'm like Michael Scott. I got my Friday jeans, and my Friday jeans weren't ready for me today. So I had to dress in normal clothes today, like I was actually important and doing something as opposed to, you know, going to a party this afternoon. So
a luau.
Looking presentable, I guess.
Exactly. Well, hey, let's hop
jeans
into
on. I usually wear shorts, so.
Right? somebody told me not too long ago. It's like, yeah, that's what you think about Zoom. You don't even have to wear pants. I said, well, normally I don't, but who would know? I'm not standing up.
Exactly.
Yeah, as long as you don't stand up, it's all good, my friend. Good from here up. All right, let's hop into it. Looks like we still got more people coming in, but we've got a full crowd. So thanks everybody for joining us this Friday morning to hang out, grab some coffee, and talk a little bit about the markets. And as we were telling you, we've got a special guest this week. It's Rick Wittstock from IPX 1031 Exchange. So he's going to be sharing some information with us about 1031s. And also talking about a class that we're going to be putting on next Thursday, the 24th, I believe.
I believe so.
And that's a full CE class, is it not?
It is.
Excellent, excellent. You guys know this guy over here, my partner in crime, Shane?
I hope so. By now, I hope so. And
right.
Hopefully that's a good memory too. Hopefully that's something good. Yeah, it's funny because yeah, like I was saying, been a interesting week. Lots going on, and man, the marketing stuff is just going crazy. So people want to get out there and really want to start pounding it. So I've been really hunkered down here. I've you know, really been working with a lot of agents this week, and I was getting out lead lists this morning. Even I was in early. I was in here at, I think the sun was out. I was in my office working, so it's been a good day. But yeah, it's great to have Rick with us because I'm excited about the class coming up this week. It's going to be great. We got a bunch of people signed up for it now, and I know we'll have more by the time we get that thing going. So good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So Kirk, what do you got for us this week? You got some good stuff? I know you do.
Yeah, I've got well, it may not be good stuff, but I got stuff. How about that? Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of regulars here, so I don't think we need to do introductions of ourselves this week. We'll hop right on into it since we've got Rick here, and that way we'll allow more time for him. One thing I do want to mention though is we put on a class earlier this week with Emma Totten from Remodel Social about how to target real estate agents in California on Facebook. That class was awesome. There's a lot of great information in it. And I will be sending out a link. For those of you who didn't make it to that class, I will be sending out a link to our YouTube page that has that class so you can watch it. And for those of you who did attend, but maybe didn't take as detailed notes as you would like, it'll be up there as well. So you can go rewatch it again and take copious notes and start using social media to target more clients. So let's go over rates real quick. This is my weekly, bring you guys up to speed with rates and where we're at. And so let's pop over here and share screens. Good to go?
Sir.
Excellent. by now everybody's familiar with our webpage here, theloangeeks.com. Well, you can actually get there both ways, theloangeeks.com or loangeeks.com. And quite frankly, you can probably type a few loan nerds in there too, and it'll get you there. But this is our homepage, and there's several ways you can get there. It's pretty straightforward. I think everybody's familiar with navigating web pages by now. So let's hit rates. Rates are ticking up ever so slightly, and I'm starting to kind of get wind that we might see them slowly start to kind of melt up a little bit off of the bottoms that we experienced this summer. So just an FYI, if you've got some buyers who are on the fence, even though inventory is down and it's hard to win those contracts, at today's rates, their buying power has never been stronger in history, literally. And so if they're sitting on the fence, you need to let them know that we don't know how long these rates are going to last, and they want to get out there and get something locked up at today's rates. Not that 3.5 would be bad, but hey, 3 1/8 or 3 1/4 is better. And I still locked some clients in. They had to buy it down a little bit, but I still locked them in at 3% on a 30-year fix this week. So real quick, our 15-year fix conventional, that picked up a little bit. If you guys recall, that had been hovering at 2.5. We're now at 2.625. That is at par with no points. Our 30-year fixed conventional has been hanging in there at 3 1/8, but we had been down as low as 2.99. And there was a period where it didn't take a whole lot to get it to 2.875 actually. But now we're trending up, and we've been ticking back and forth between 3 1/8 and 3 1/4. Our Govy loans, the Govies are getting more and more premium as the CARES Act forbearance issues continue to pile on the FHFA. The premium continues to go up. And as a matter of fact, the pricing on these, I just repriced them this morning. And it looks like, well, it's not reflected here on my sheet, but actually the premium went up to a full point now on these instead of 3/4 of a point. And if you guys recall, that was hovering at a 1/2 a point for, gosh, the last couple months, I believe. So those folks who need those government-based loans, premium on them now. Just real simple, because forbearance is causing servicers some financial hardship. So, and then last but not least, the jumbos are holding pretty steady at this point. They've come back down in line with the conventional products, which is awesome. And they're just kind of holding steady at this point, which is good. Knock on wood, we don't have any another big events like we had when COVID first hit that rocked the market. So that's where we're at on rates. We're seeing a little bit of pressure on them to maybe come off of this floor that we've been hovering at. And so you got folks who maybe some folks who want to refinance as well. Let them know. Don't sit and try and hold out for 2. We may not ever get there. A bird in the hand is always my philosophy. And I practice that myself. I'm a consumer of mortgages as well. I'll book the savings today, and if they go lower tomorrow, I'll do the math on that one and see if it makes sense to book those savings too. So what do you got, Shane?
Let me unmute myself here again. But yeah, so lots going on, like I was saying earlier. Right now, the thrust has been about listings, and I'm talking to talking to agents mostly about getting listings and finding them. So there's been a lot of interest in Canadian owners down here in the Valley. Been pulling a lot of lists for that stuff. And we've got ways to go skimming for folks that are higher on that buy-sell curve than others. So those have been the 2 things that I've been working on this week quite a bit, because we have a algorithm here that we can find folks that are probably closer to that. A lot of equity, a lot of this and that. It's easy to market to, so we can co-brand and do flyers and postcards and whatever. So there's been a lot of that this week. But I wanted to kind of show you, and I know a lot of you were in the class the other day, so I kind of talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to show you a little bit. And I've had a lot of requests for one of these things, and I'll show you which one. But But our market updates, of course, a lot of you get these, I'm sure, right now. So I brought up Scottsdale so you can kind of see what's going on in Scottsdale, which is so different than here in the Southeast Valley and, you know, even the West Valley too. Much more of a buyer's market in Scottsdale still than it is down in the Southeast Valley. But price is still going up, still ticking upwards. Inventory doing crazy things there too, just like everywhere else. But it is kind of leveling out, and that's what I've kind of noticed over the past few weeks is how much the market is starting to level out as far as home prices and inventory starting not on that downward trajectory as much anymore. But it is a time of year, and I've talked about that too. So a lot going on there. You can see in Scottsdale the same thing, pretty much all over the valley, new inventory and what's going on here as far as them selling. So a lot happening here. And these reports are super easy to get. If you're not getting them and you'd like to, please let me know and I'll get you set up for this. They come out on Wednesdays. It's an easy report to take a look at and read. And plus you can search it. So here's Scottsdale, and just because I can, let's look at the Southeast Valley. You can see where this is on the buy sell index, but you can see where Chandler is and how much that's flipped over to the sell side. It's crazy. I mean, that's a big swing, you know, with inventory and everything else that's going on. But one thing I did bring up this week, and you get a quick look at my desktop, which is always awesome. It's amazing that I can find things here, but I can. But this was a thing I kind of wanted to talk about just a little bit, and I'm going to start putting these together on a weekly basis because to me it's very interesting, and I like to see what's going on in one shot. I can look at all the cities in the valley, or most of them anyway, and then I can look outside the valley because a lot of people are talking about what's going on outside the valley here, and then you know in the White Mountains and you know Flag and all those places that you know people have vacation homes or you know want to buy a second home, and you can see really across the board inventory where that is. I mean, all these red marks are negatives, and all the greens are positives. I highlighted the high points of this thing. So whatever had the lowest, you know, or the most change in inventory in a negative way and positive way. But I try to highlight the high points of where we were across the valley and of course outside the valley here too. But it's really
Shane or Kirk was just saying that rates are starting very, very, very quietly to creep up a bit. And they've been hearing that it's going to start kind of.
Yes. And that, of course, is going to impact a lot of people. But yeah, so if you'd like a copy of this or you'd like to start getting those market updates, just let me know. Like I said, I'm going to try to be putting this together on Mondays because I get the report early, but I'm going to kind of start cobbling this together so you can kind of see it in more detail. And if you'd like to share it or do whatever, it's totally fine with me. I probably need to pretty it up a little bit, but I wanted to get it out there and I wanted to get it in Excel where I could kind of start playing with this thing a little bit and really seeing what's happening. So keep me posted how I can help. Easy stuff, easy marketing stuff right there that you can easily share with your clients or whatever. Helen, I'd be more than happy to send that to you. Absolutely. I think the thing's kind of neat. So anyways, we've got Rick here with us. We want to talk some 1031. He's got some knowledge that I don't have, and I never will. He's that guy. He's the smartest guy I know.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, that now I can live up to that expectation, right? It's good to see interest rates are still holding down low, and it's good to see that the market is still crazy gangbusters. My world is a little different. I'm getting a lot of calls from California, Oregon, Washington State. I mean, if I looked at my cell phone right now, that's all the area codes that I'm getting. I just got a call yesterday afternoon from an investor that has 12 houses or multifamily up to fourplex, single family in Florida. So he's checking out of Florida now too and wants to bring all those investment properties here to Arizona. Something to do with tax. That's the first time I heard from Florida. So Arizona is definitely one of those states that is everybody's immigrating to. which is great. So we just need to have more inventory so we can keep selling it to them. 1031 exchange world, I'm not going to go in too deep this week because on this call, because you got next week, I'm going to give 3 hours full head into 1031 exchange. So I'm just going to give you the surface today. We're going to talk a little bit about what I'm seeing out there. And if you guys got any questions, this is the time to ask those general ones. And then if you can sign up for the class next week, if you haven't, that's where you're going to get everything. So, but like I said, we're getting a lot of calls from out-of-state investors buying here in Arizona, and they're, of course, doing all 1031 exchanges, but they're having issues on finding those those replacement properties. As far as COVID goes, there was an extension that was granted for 1031 exchanges. But that was for the first quarter when we were all under house arrest and things really got tight. They gave an extension to any exchange that was in that portion of us being under house arrest, that now they had an extension to July 15th. We were hoping for another one, but there isn't any. But there is some extensions that are granted for the fires that are in Northern California. And I think they're going to issue one for Washington too as well. So if your clients are exchanging out of those areas and they want to do an exchange, they might get a little bit of an extension on the ID period for finding that replacement property. And also there is with the hurricane season that is on the East Coast. So if there is any exchangers that are exchanging from the East Coast, they're looking at getting an extension too as well. So the questions that I get a lot when people call me is, do I qualify for a 1031 exchange? What are the timelines? And it's always, you can be a veteran in the real estate industry, and some of the calls that I get are like, how long is the ID period? 90 days, right? No, it's not 90 days. It's 45 days from the close of escrow, and it's 180 days total from the close of escrow to close. So can you get any more time unless you're in one of those disaster areas? No, except for you can be creative. So if you have your property on the market and you got a cash buyer that wants to close in 2 weeks, and you're doing a 1031 exchange, you can push that 2 weeks out a little bit to give you more time. So up to 30 days, 40 days on that closing of the taxable property. Now you got that time frame to start looking and putting offers on the replacement properties before the actual official timeline starts. So that's a little teaser there on some of that stuff, but we'll talk in detail next week on those things. Is there any questions that anybody wants me to cover right now, or I can just go on for another 20 minutes or so? Does everybody have, Kirk, does everybody have access to just talk or chat or house?
I believe everybody has the ability to unmute themselves, and by all means, we encourage it. That's the whole purpose of these Friday meetings, is to grab our coffee and hang out and do this as an open forum. So anybody who's got any questions, unmute, and now is the time.
Look at the mug that I grabbed this morning out of the cupboard.
Merry Christmas.
I think I didn't unload the dishwasher last night, so I grabbed the wrong mug. Hey, but you know what? It's Christmas in August or September.
It'll be here soon. It'll be here before you know it.
Truly.
Yeah.
So anybody got any? You always kind of I had a question on 1031 and I always wanted to know the real answer, not that I think it's this answer, which I'm good at those. I think it's this.
There is a question in chat.
Yeah, I think I see that one here. What is that? Have the rules changed, major change from Jim and Becky, and we haven't done one in a while. So no, the rules have not changed. They're still the same as they were. The exception is that a few years back when we reformed the whole tax code, we did eliminate the personal property side. So that has actually become a little bit of an issue because I'm doing a lot of, believe it or not, I'm doing a lot of car washes, and a lot of mechanic shops are selling their real estate right now. And they're including the personal property on the transaction. Prior to the reform of the tax code, personal property was able to be exchanged as well, but now with the exchange reforming or deleting the personal property of 1031 exchange, when you sell a business that has personal property in that sale, those portions would be considered taxable, especially if it's written in the contract. So I'm actually working on a mechanic shop that's closing his transaction next month, and I had to help him restructure his contract because he had all of his personal properties attached to the real estate. And so we had to do a separate bill of sale for that and for his real estate so that he's qualifying and won't get taxed on that personal property when he's doing his exchange. So any advice that I would get, you don't need to be, like Shane said, he doesn't need to be an expert. Kirk, you don't need to be an expert. Nobody needs to be an expert in what I do. I live and breathe this stuff. I even have a shot every 10:31 at 10 o'clock, 10:31 at night and 10:31 in the morning. No, coffee shot. And then at night I have the alcohol shot. So I live and breathe this stuff. So all you really need to know is who to reach out to when you have a question in regards to exchange. And I'm going to sometimes direct you back to your tax advisor. And sometimes you might call me right back after you spoke to your tax advisor because they may not have that knowledge either. Some CPAs, some tax advisors, if they're not familiar with working with investors, they might just bat that question back to somebody like me. But if you need that, I can also recommend some tax advisors that have the answers for you to help you out in your personal situation when you're filing for taxes. Is there any more chats that came up that were kind of cool other than the timelines there?
Yeah, we've got another one here.
Yep.
Yesterday, a client asked me if he could reinvest proceeds from the sale of his rental outside of the U.S.
No, that's the only thing you can't do. It has to be within the U.S. Of course, they wrote this code 100 years ago, and it was to stimulate the economy. And to take that funds and go into Rocky Point or outside the country is not going to really do what the benefit of it is. So unfortunately, no. But some of the unusual places like the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, all those places are considered U.S. And Hawaii. I don't know why, but somebody didn't know Hawaii was part of the U.S. when I was talking with them. But any of those areas are considered that you can exchange into. And a little one that comes, yep.
I was going to say, can you exchange from funds outside of the U.S. into the U.S.?
You can, but it wouldn't qualify for the exchange. But
Gotcha.
The answer to tee up on that is that if you got a foreign investor, like I think Shane, you were saying about, there's a lot of searches for Canadians right now. They qualify for 1031 exchange. So you can have a foreign investor that owns U.S. property can qualify for a 1031 exchange and avoid FIRPTA. And buy replacement property in the U.S. So they qualify for it. So getting that search for, with Shane on Canadian or out-of-state owners and target them for that, hey, did you know you qualify for a 1031 exchange? Is a great way to start building up some of that business and maybe putting some more properties on the market. Because a lot of them don't know that they could sell that property and avoid paying 25–30% in capital gains tax. And you can simply do a postcard, Shane, you can help them out with that. That just addresses the fact is you do qualify for a 1031 exchange. If you don't like your 20-year-old rental that's costing you a lot of money on maintenance, turn that into maybe a newer property. Even move your tenants into a newer property. This is a good time to maybe market something like that. A lot of my other clients, they're actually now they had a rental for like the last 5-6 years, and they're like, oh, I want to do a 1031 exchange and buy another 1031 exchange. I don't want to do that. I want to start getting some of the benefits of having this investment. So a lot of them right now are selling their properties that maybe they had in Scottsdale, Phoenix, and they're exchanging and buying a property in Prescott, Show Low, Flagstaff. Oh, did you get a little feedback there? You guys hearing that? Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, I don't know what that is. Okay, we're done. Good. So that's something that's really exciting to a lot of investors when I tell them that they're qualified to do that, is that they can sell their 12-month rental property for $400,000. And then now they can exchange into a property in Flagstaff that they can actually go hang out with in the summer and then rent it out part-time. So we'll cover detail what the timelines are next week, but that is a big thing that's happening right now, which is making the market up north really, really tight, finding replacement properties. But if you did that, you take that $400,000 single family exchange into a $400,000 property in Flag or Prescott or Sholo. Now you can go up there in the summer and rent it out in the winter, and then qualify for 1031 exchange like kind. So that's really popular right now.
That is an interesting aspect.
It is. Cool. And if you do already have a property up north and you're not renting it out and you're considering maybe downsizing or moving to a different area, please, please, please always rent it out, or at least Airbnb it and claim it as an investment property. Because when you sell a second home and it's never been rented out, the tax is due on the sale. If you have primary residence, you sell the primary residence, you get exclusions. As long as you lived in the property for 2 years, you're married, you get $500,000 tax-free basically, or $250,000 if you're single. Second homes, there is no exclusion, there is nothing. So if you sell a second home and you've done well with it, you're going to be paying the tax on it. There is no exclusion unless it's a second home / investments. So keep that in mind if you're considering. I had a client call me yesterday, or actually 2 days ago now. He bought a property in California in Lake Arrowhead, and he bought it on auction, I guess, for $60,000. It was just a small cabin there on Lake Arrowhead, California, and he lives here, and he was just using that as a vacation. He put $100,000 into it, fixing it up over the years, but he bought it in 2012, and now he sold it for $350,000. And he wants to buy a bigger property in the same area. He's never rented out the property, ever. He had some friends go use it, never took any money for it, never did a Schedule C, never claimed it as investment property. So now he's going to get dinged 25-30%, and it's in California, so then he's got the high state capital gains tax. So most of that profit that he made on that, a good chunk of it, is going to Uncle Sam. So he wasn't happy about that, but he did well. But it's still, that's money that he could have used to put towards the new property, and had maybe bought a bigger property, had more money down. But good for you, Kirk, because he needs, the lending industry needs more money or more mortgage now. So it's kind of a flip side, depending on which side of the equation you're at.
Yeah, they can pay you or they can pay us, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of investors that are out there now that this is the time to sell. I mean, are we at the height of our market? I don't know. I mean, we look at some reports, but I think I remember saying about a year ago that I think we're almost at the height of the market, and we just keep going up. So we never know. Arizona is definitely, it's not like it was before. I'm not an expert in this side of it, but it's not like it was before, where there was mostly service-oriented jobs or real estate jobs in Arizona. There's a lot of tech jobs, a lot of other industries that have moved in here. So even if things do slow down, we're not going to get hit like we did before.
Well, and that's a topic we've touched on
before, yeah,
times on our on our Friday mornings here, and that is the lending side of things. Back in the 2007-8, when that thing started to unravel, a lot of people who invested in homes back then, they weren't able to actually qualify for the debt. They were able to do one of those creative loans where they fogged a mirror,
right,
could pat their head and rub their tummy, they got the money. Mm-hmm. That hasn't been the case go around. Just about everybody, with very few exceptions, everybody's had to qualify. Now, that being said, we've just had a lot of people who got laid off or furloughed. That's a whole nother story when you were able to qualify, but now you lose your source of income. So we may see some of those deals. Those probably, they're going to be able to sell those. They don't have to short sale them.
No, they don't.
The market's strong. So a little bit different dynamic than before. So are we at a top? Great question. Doubt it based on inventory, but you just never know,
Yeah, you never know, but
make decisions on what you know today, right?
Exactly. So it looks like we got another, that's somebody saying recommend going to class. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there's another popularity. I'm not going to talk too much about this next week because that's a whole nother class, is reverse exchanges. When you do have low inventory, reverse exchange is an option. And basically what a reverse exchange is the opposite of a forward exchange. It's the easiest way to explain it, but it's where you buy the replacement property up front, and then it gives you 180 days to sell your relinquish or your taxable property. So our reverse department, we have a dedicated reverse department that's actually here for the whole country, is right in Arizona, and they've been on fire. Normally they handle mostly commercial transactions, but they've been handling a lot of the residential transactions just because it's a little bit more peace of mind that you find your replacement property, you get it accepted on bid, and then go to around sell one of your properties to do an exchange into it. So that's something that's very popular. There's some drawbacks to that. I can touch a little bit on that next week on the details on the reverse because it is very popular right now. Is there anything else that anybody would like me to direct in different areas? Or
I see a question about recommending clients to attend a class, and I've had this question come up from a few agents already. They wanted clients to come, and I want, agents get first dibs on it. It is a CE class, so if we don't fill it up, then I'm okay with other people coming in, but as long as the agents that sign up get in. I know Zoom is a finite resource. So, and right now we've got a pretty good crowd set up for Thursday, but if we've got open seating or an open spot, I can let people know.
yeah, and to that point, the class is geared for what real estate agents need to know. I've had in the past clients jump in, and sometimes real estate agents that come into the class are the ones that have the questions about their own personal exchanges. But for the everyday person off the street, it's a little bit of a snore fest for them. They don't get exactly all the details, and a lot of the information that they need, I could cover in 5, 10, 15 minutes. So it might be a little bit overkill for some of them, unless there's some statistic game talk this morning class that or question that they have that might be related to that. But you as real estate agents getting to know that knowledge, or at least the clip notes of that knowledge, puts you at a position where you're the expert, so that they don't go to somebody else either. So giving your clients that understanding, and if they got a better understanding than you, maybe may not put you in that category. So, but that again, it'd be up to Shane if he allows anybody in there. You make that personal judgment.
Well, that was my 2 cents on it, Rick, was that as the agent, I think you want to put yourself out as kind of the real estate expert. So,
right.
Having that knowledge to bring to bear for the benefit of your clients is probably maybe a little more advantageous than making your client the expert.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, and that knowledge too, you don't need to be an expert, but if you got the couple nuggets that you take away from the class, hang on to those. And if you wanted to start doing some marketing, like I suggested earlier, on going on foreign investors or out-of-state investors, or even pick up an ad or something in California, Washington, and Oregon claiming that you're the 1031 exchange real estate expert or mortgage expert that can help them relocate here. Because a lot of them, I get that call too, that they might have just hit our website. They call me up and like, hey, can you refer me to a real estate agent that knows 1031 exchange? So of course I look through who has been to my class, and I do refer those ones out to people that have that knowledge. And it doesn't have to be an expert, just enough knowledge to quote the right timelines and to know what the next steps are. And that's really all that you need to know. But there is out-of-state clients that are looking to relocate in Arizona, and they're looking for that agent that does have that knowledge to handle and help them with their exchange.
And they've always got you as a resource, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, my text messages. If you call me, you can't reach me. Text message. My direct line is my cell phone. So I do get agents that I'll say, "What was that timeline again? Was it how many days to identify? Is this considered like kinds?" I get quick answers on my via text, and I can get back to them really quick. If you leave me a voicemail, I usually get back to you within a few hours. depending on my my Zoom schedule.
Hey, Rick, would you mind putting your information up in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've
I
got
can
your
do that.
card,
Yep.
but I don't know if anyone can see this. So.
Yeah, they got it.
Yeah. Did you get it? Everyone get that? It's screenshot it really quick. Yeah, IPX, that's a company that when people call us looking for 1031 information, I mean, I give Rick's information out all the time. So he's the guy. So yeah, we don't play around with that. That was a referral down from Mike Abel, and those that know Mike Abel, that's who he referred to for 1031 stuff. So yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's not just me that is the qualified intermediary that's handling your exchange. I have a team of experts behind me as well. So, and we're known for our industry as being the experts in 1031 exchange. We have CPAs on staff, in-house attorneys. So anything that's really complex that you're looking at, we can handle it. For the most part, I can handle most of the questions, but if I don't have the answer, I'll go to my in-house attorney. He'll give me the long-winded legal version of it, but I'll get that answer for you. But for the most part, I haven't been able to stump him on anything that's really complex. And where the real complex ones come into when it comes to exchange, I don't want to make it sound like it's really complicated, but where it does get a little bit more complicated is when you have a partnership. So a lot of times investors will get a bunch of them together, or they'll get family members to buy a really good deal, and they create an LLC, they create a trust, and then now they have that opportunity to sell that property, but they don't want to go with their partner or their family member to buy the next property. So if that's the case, you have a client that is, and there's multiple owners on a property, or there's a trust or an LLC that owns the property, and it's more than just a husband and wife, you want to get that questions answered earlier than later, because we can restructure the way it's vested prior to the exchange. If it's at the 11th hour, they might have to stick with that family member or that partner to buy the replacement property. And you'll know what I'm talking about a little bit more when I go into detail next week on the class.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I'm excited about
All right. Well, we've run a little bit over today, but it's great information and nice teaser too for the class next week. Rick is an incredible resource on 1031. So highly recommend it, and you're going to get CE credit. So, it's a win-win. You're going to just grow your knowledge based on 1031, get a chance to chat with Rick more about this information, and get some CE credit too. So if you can make it, highly encourage you. Shane, you got anything to wrap up?
I'm good. It's happy Friday, everyone, and keep me posted if I can help with anything over the weekend. I know, they're busy real estate weekend as always, so weather's cooling off just a little.
Just a little bit, yeah. Felt good this morning.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get like months and months of it. We only get like a few weeks, and then it's either summer or winter, it feels like.
Right.
The winter, though, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'll take our
Yeah.
winters. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Hey, Rick, appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It was great information. I always learn something when we talk, so that was wonderful. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week, whether you're at Rick's class or you're here having coffee with us next Friday. Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.